Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gaming Tech.com video. We're going to be discussing recent comments from Albert Penello. Now, you may remember just yesterday I released a video that was talking about a recent supposed leak from a Microsoft employee. His name is Seaboat online, in which he was discussing that Microsoft are going to be having issues with ESRAM and resolution, and a couple of other bits and bobs too, including that the CPU upclocks and so on were risky. If you're curious, you can check that video out. I'm not going to go into it in this video because, well, yeah, if you've just heard that, I don't want to kind of go over old ground. But Albert Penello has decided to comment on this, and he's pointed out the differences between Xbox One and PS4 resolution. Now, this is quite a long series of quotes, but I'm going to go through it anyway. So, he said, when I was searching, I saw articles on it, and I don't know, so I can't confirm anything. To be clear, I don't know the resolution for every third-party game on Xbox One. I don't know why people would think I would. Do you think that third parties are giving me reports on the latest resolutions of game, or I can just call them up and they will share it? I know the resolution of our first-party games. That's it. And, to be clear, I was asking if anyone had a list comparing Xbox One and PS4 resolution. Even in the list above, it doesn't give me the Xbox One resolution for a lot of third parties. I ended up generating my own list, of course. He was asked to share the list, by the way. And here's what Albert's found. Well, my list has a lot of holes in it, as basically it looks the same as what I posted above. I can't find comparisons of both platforms for third-party titles. Basically, what I see is that Sony's first-party games are all 1080p, and our games are a mix. And of course, you mix inconsistencies on frame rates where both KI, Killer Instinct, and Forza are 60 FPS, DC and NAC are 30 FPS, and Killzone is a mix, depending on out of quote for a second, depending on whether it's single player, multiplayer, and so on. But I was curious about the third-party titles. I found no official comments on their resolutions, given that the fact that I don't know is because they are third-party games means I can't draw any conclusions. I'm sorry that people's lack of understanding of a team works got translated into me being disingenuous. Of course, we have third-party teams that work very closely with publishers. The team's organizationally separate from the rest of us. Why? Because that team deals with very sensitive information. Remember, we are both a competitor and a partner to our publishers. To preserve that balance, the third-party team isn't in the habit of doling out information to the rest of the team, including me, whenever we want. I don't just get to walk in there and see what I want, or get those type of questions answered because of my position. So what do you want to be true? That I can walk in and get any piece of information I want to any third-party game, or that IP of our partners is secured organizationally so the publishers are confident that what they want to share with the team remains confidential? Because of the latter part is true, and so, yes, a lot of those details I will never get near because the game actually ships. So let's get some common sense. Almost nobody that works on Xbox knows details of third-party games besides the team. So, after all of that, what are my thoughts? Well, obviously, Albert's getting a bit irritated, you can kind of tell by what he's saying. You know, it's kind of subtle there, but you can tell that he's definitely starting to get very, let's use the word perturbed, with how things are going right now. And the fact of the matter is, though, that the developers have spoken. There are developers that have spoken about the resolutions and so on, and honestly speaking, they're not painting the Xbox One in a good light. The other problem is that the bottom line is, from the perspective of developers, and this is kind of the big one for me, from the perspective of the developer, you're looking at two pieces of hardware and you could start figuring out what the problems are going to be for each piece of the hardware without too much difficulty. Obviously, it's still really early right now, but Albert is becoming increasingly frustrated, you can tell, because people just keep tearing his stuff apart, and that's kind of the other problem. I actually believe him. That's the thing. I don't think that he knows the details of every single game, because it's impossible. Because firstly, you've obviously got trade secrets, and even if they didn't exist, even if EA and Capcom and everyone else in the planet was just happy to be like, yeah, here's how engine works, have at it, have a nice look at that. The bottom line is, how the hell would he keep up with all the games in development and so on? It's not really a feasible or realistic goal, or it's just not realistic to expect that of him. But at the same time, I think that people aren't questioning the fact that all the games are being shown, but the ones we do know, quite a few are sub 1080p or sub optimal frame rates and so on, and people are really wary of this because of the obvious issue, which is quite simple, the ES RAM. Anyway, this is a pretty short video on this because I've covered some of the stuff anyway, so I just wanted to kind of add this as an update from yesterday. Hopefully you've enjoyed the relatively brief video. I'm going to get going, so take care and bye.